San Diegans accomplish great things every day. We care about our neighbors and our community. We are proud of our diversity. We are resilient. We hold our leaders accountable. We live in one of the most dynamic cities in America, the San Diego Union-Tribune, telling San Diego's story for more than 150 years.
Hello, my name is Jeniffer Thompson, and I will be guiding you through the ins and outs to get published. I am an author myself, and I love helping authors navigate their publishing options. I'm also a personal branding expert and a digital marketing strategist. I founded my company, Monkey See Media, in 2004, and together with my team, we design book covers, author websites, and author marketing tools and strategies with an emphasis on author platform. I am also a co-founder of the San Diego Writers Festival and co-host of the Premise podcast. I'm currently writing 2 books, a coming-of-age memoir and a personal branding book for authors and thought leaders looking to build their audience and sell more books. My current book, How to Write a Professional Bio for Authors and Speakers and Entrepreneurs, is available today and is part of my Smart Author Branding book series. In it, I not only walk you through the process of writing your bio, but I share personal branding tips and strategies to get you started. Look for a link at the end of this class if you would like to buy a copy today. So let's get back to you. Let's talk about publishing. Regardless of what route you decide to take to get published, every author needs a platform. So what is Author Platform? Simply put, Author Platform is your ability to sell books. Before any publisher will even consider working with a new author, they look to see if that author is worth the investment. Does that author have a built-in audience? Does that author have a reputation in the industry they plan to write in? In other words, is that author already known? A platform is a combination of your authority and your visibility. This, by the way, is also known as your personal brand. In fact, a personal brand takes it a step farther. Your brand is a combination of authority, online visibility, and personal style. A well-honed brand is about your reputation. It's how you are perceived in the industry. It instills trust and gets people invested in you and your book. While today's class is all about getting published, you will hear me reference your personal brand and your author platform often. And by the way, I've developed a handout and a list of resources and tools that you can use to get started on your author journey today. I'll provide a link for those tools at the end of this class, so don't worry about remembering every single detail. There's a lot we're going to cover, so let's get started. As a new author, one of your jobs is to read books in your genre. Know your comparable titles. I call this your bookshelf. What are the 3 to 5 titles that will sit on the shelf next to your book at Warwick's bookstore in La Jolla, for example, or at the library? Comparable titles must be current, published within the last 3 years. If you can tell an agent or bookseller that your book is comparable to X, Y, and Z, they're more likely to take a chance on you because they instantly know where to place you. Well, your book anyway. And they will know if there is demand for your book. Read those books. Know what people are writing in your niche. And here's a tip. Keep a spreadsheet where you catalog all the details of your comparable titles. Track the pub date, the genre, the price, and how it's similar to and different from your book. Lastly, read the acknowledgments. See who agented that book. If you are looking to get traditionally published, you are going to need an agent. So knowing who is already interested in a book like yours and has sold a book like yours is a huge step in the right direction. Another way to find agents who are interested in your genre is to follow publishersmarketplace.com. There you can track book deals and find a list of working agents. And there's a ton of other resources too. Simply Google how to find an agent, and I guarantee you'll find a wealth of information. Now, there are 3 possible paths that you can take to get published. There's traditional, hybrid, and self-publishing. In traditional publishing, you begin with an agent. The agent shops your book to publishers who may be interested in a title like yours, another good reason to be intimately familiar with your comp titles. This agent is your guide. They are with you for the life of your book, which we all hope is long and prosperous. The agent will typically take about 15% of your earnings. They manage the legal side too. They make sure the contract is a good one and that it protects your rights as an author. Hopefully, several publishers will be interested in your book and it will go into a bidding war. The agent will negotiate your royalty and your advance. These range, depending on the deal you get, anywhere from $10,000 to $1 million, but let's be clear, $10,000 is way more likely for a new author. Royalties range typically between 10% and 15%. Traditional publishers are looking for an author who will be a good return on their investment. Remember that author platform I talked about? Without a platform, publishers are not likely to take a chance on you. It also helps if you have more than one book in you. Publishers and agents love it when they have a series, when you have a series, because that means future sales and a loyal audience. This process of finding an agent can take months, and honestly, it can take years. The more prepared you are up front, the more likely you are to find an agent quickly. Then the publisher process typically takes another 2 years beyond that. So get your ducks in a row now. And here's something else to consider. You will be expected to invest in your book for the marketing portion. Some publishers will earmark a small budget for publicity and marketing, but the lion's share will fall on you. Okay, what's next? Hybrid publishing. Now, with this model, you share in the investment. A good hybrid publisher will have the know-how to professionally package and position your book. Now, know this, not all hybrid publishers are alike, so please do your research. You can expect to pay anywhere between $5,000 and $10,000 to work with a hybrid publisher. Now, some people might gasp and balk at the idea of paying to have your book published. But let me be clear, you are partnering with the publisher. You are making an investment in yourself. And in exchange, you receive a much higher royalty, as high as 60 in some cases. These numbers fluctuate wildly. It's up to you to research the company and understand the details so you know what is expected of you and what your rights are. I recommend working with a hybrid publisher who offers traditional distribution. What this means is that your book is actively being sold to bookstores and sales events and is listed in their sales catalog. In terms of timing, this all depends on the hybrid publisher. It can take anywhere from 8 months to 2 years. And let me say this, be wary of any publisher who tells you that they can have your book packaged and on the shelf within a few months. Never rush the publishing process. It's important that you do it right, because once your book is out there, you can't take it back. And you will have lost the opportunity to get much needed book reviews, win book awards, and be taken seriously in the publishing community if you don't publish professionally. Lastly, I'd like to talk about self-publishing. Now, the term self-publishing is a misnomer. You're not supposed to do it yourself. Get help. Building a book requires a lot of expertise. I'm a publishing consultant, and some people call me a book Sherpa. I guide authors through the process to make sure that you do it well and that you don't miss any critical steps. Oftentimes, authors will bring me a book that's just not ready for market. In this case, I refer them to a writing coach. Now, a writing coach will ensure that your book is ready for publication, that the plot and the character arc and the pacing is solid and ready for the world. Listen, it's critical that you get a third-party perspective because your spouse and your mom and your best friend may love your book, but you need the world to love your book. I have a writing coach myself. I work with Marnie Friedman, and she's here in San Diego. She holds my feet to the fire. She pushes me to write the best book I can. Marnie Friedman is kind of special because not only is she a writing coach, but she's also a therapist. And let me tell you, writing a book is like birthing a baby. You need someone who gets you and who can gently guide you to write your very best book. By the way, you can find Marnie at marniefriedman.com. But know that there are many good writing coaches. The key is to find the right one for you. Once your book is ready, you then need editors. That's right, I said editors, more than one. Professionally published books go through a series of editing steps from content editing to copy editing and the final proofread. This ensures that your book is truly polished and ready for the world. Next, you're going to need to position and package your book. This includes things like the trim size of your book, the color of the paper, the format. Will your book be trade paperback? Will it be hardcover? Will it include a dust jacket? Will you make it available as an ebook or an audiobook? What genre is your book? And what's the price point that makes sense to get it into bookstores so people will actually buy it? The price point really matters, and it's based on so many things. There are so many decisions to be made, much of which is based on your comparable titles. You need to ensure that your book is comparable in every way to those 5 books on your bookshelf. And that includes your cover design, because yes, people will judge and do judge a book by its cover. Your book needs to fit squarely in the genre. Is your book YA? Well, it needs to look like a current YA book. Plus, professional book designers know the nuances of book design and know what belongs in and on your book, inside and on the cover, that is. Self-publishing used to have a bad name. In some ways, it still does, but as a whole, it is being taken more seriously now because authors are now relying on the myriad resources available to publish right, to do it well. Booksellers and book reviewers would never touch a self-published book 10 years ago. Why? Because they were not confident that they could trust the quality of the book. I have an example for you that I'd like to show. This is a book called Code Blood. Here we have a book that looks like nonfiction. It looks like a memoir, in fact, because it has a subtitle. It's called One Foot in the Black, a wildland firefighter story by Kurt Kam. Now, let me tell you something. This is actually a thriller. So recreating this book to look more like a thriller, the trim size, no subtitle on a novel. And you don't need to put by in front of the author. These are little things that earmark and make a book look self-published that you want to avoid. Now, people are starting to do it right, again, because there are so many resources out there. And a lot of those I'm going to show you at the end or give you at the end, and you can go download them. But listen, things have changed today because authors don't do it themselves, they get help. And I'd like to say this, I don't call it self-publishing, just like you wouldn't say, I watch self movies or I listen to self music. They are indie movies, it's indie music, and we publish indie books, independently published books. Now that your book is positioned and packaged and ready for publishing, you'll need to establish yourself as an independent publisher. This means that you come up with an imprint name, just like Gallery Books is an imprint of Simon & Schuster. What will your imprint be called? You're going to need to design a logo and establish your company. You'll need to copyright your manuscript, buy a set of ISBNs. An ISBN is a book number that is assigned to every book sold, by the way. It stands for International standard book number. You'll then need to register your book with the Library of Congress and assign up to 3 BISAC codes to your book. Now, a BISAC is an acronym for Book Industry Standards and Communications. And basically, it just tells booksellers where to place your book on the shelf. Plus, you'll need to decide who will print your books, whether you go with print on demand, where your book is printed one at a time after it has been purchased, or you decide to print 1,000 or even 5,000 books at once and then decide who will store those books and who will distribute them to bookstores. Okay, listen, we're getting into the weeds here. I know this is a lot. You do not need to know all of this right now. There are a ton of resources out there, as I said. They will help you through the process. I've created a list of them along with my handout for today's class and a publishing checklist if you are looking to independently publish your book. You can find these on my website at jenniferthompson.com/resources. Here's the deal. In order to know which path is best for you, you need to start with your goals. What do you want for your book? What does success look like to you? If you are a speaker and your book is your glorified business card, a credibility builder, if you will, then maybe it makes the most sense for you to independently publish your book using print on demand and selling your books through Amazon. How much money you spend on your publishing journey will be largely determined by your goals. You can invest anywhere from a few thousand to $20,000 on this process. Know what you want to get out of it. Decide what success looks like for you before you start your journey to get published. And one more thing, know your budget. Decide in advance how much money you can afford to spend, how much time you can afford to invest, and how comfortable are you managing all the little details? Because your emotional investment matters a lot when it comes to making the best and right choices for your book and for you. Be sure to choose a path that you enjoy or it will never be sustainable. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you will stick around. There's a lot of great programming planned for today. And again, if you would like to buy my book, How to Write a Professional Bio, you can buy it from our indie bookseller community by accessing the link you will see at the end of this video. Also, please consider the San Diego Council on Literacy. They are the sponsor for today. You can visit literacysandiego.org to learn more and support literacy for all. Thank you again. I wish you all the best with your publishing journey.
Libraries are really central to a community, and libraries today are about so much more than books.
I walked in behind someone who looked up and went, wow. And you realize they don't expect this from their public library. That the city has made an investment in them, in their lives, and their families, and their community.
A lot of kids come here because their parents can't pick them up, or they need somewhere to come after school.
I like the books here.
She loves the books.
I come here almost every day. I want to keep my grades up and hopefully get into a great college. If there wasn't a library like this, I wouldn't know where to go and what to do.
I actually don't have our own computer at home. We just have iPads and tablets. So being able to come here is really beneficial, especially since I homeschool.
What we're trying to do with the library and the Library Foundation is build equity that gets us to a place where everybody has the same chance to be their best.
Communities that don't have either private donors or active friends groups, it's a much tougher struggle to get sufficient and quality programming at the branches.
Our libraries do all of this with only $100,000 of program funding spread across 36 branches. It's incredible value, but it's not enough.
Not to be cliche, but they say children are our future, so we got to give them all that we can give them.
We just need to keep putting more money into the things that bring us together and the educational resources that the city has access to provide.